Alright, last video I talked about Peachette and Bowsette and how I thought the whole thing was kind of odd. A toad becoming a human really sort of messes up the whole aspect of humans in the mushroom world. So I started thinking about more and more about this Peachette and Bowsette thing and this super crown that transforms them. And even if this crown is inaccessible in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, given what we have, Bowsette can still be canon. So before you take up arms and go into the comment section, hear me out because there's a lot to explain. And obviously take all this with a grain of salt. We're going to be stringing together different games and theorizing Mario lore to paint Bowsette in a situation where she could be a reality. So first and foremost, we need to talk about different situations in previous Mario games that allowed characters to transform into other characters. Now, since the last video came out, and even before that, people were discussing online about Super Mario 64 DS and how Yoshi can get different caps, one for Mario, one for Luigi, one for Wario, and take on their abilities, but also their appearance. So given that, the introduction of this new Super Crown is kind of not that far-fetched because we already have this in existence in the Mushroom world. It's simply the Peach version of the hats we see in Super Mario 64 DS. And just like in that game, I imagine if Toadette, who is now Peachette, if she takes damage, she's going to lose that power-up and revert back to Toadette. Just like in Super Mario 64 DS, when Yoshi takes damage, Yoshi loses the hat that's on his head, whether that be Wario's, Mario's, whatever. And the abilities that Yoshi had at that moment are now gone until they go and retrieve that hat. However, there's still some issues to this angle of fitting this Super Crown in with the hats from Super Mario 64 DS. Because when Yoshi picks up a hat, Yoshi still retains his voice. He doesn't have Mario's voice, he doesn't have Luigi's voice, he stays Yoshi. However, when Toadette picks up the Super Crown, Toadette gets Peach's voice. If you listen to the Nintendo Direct, when Toadette picks up that power-up, her voice is swapped out with Peach's. You can hear it when she first picks up the crown, you can sort of hear it when she does the wall kick to recover from the fall. So Toadette's voice changes, which is completely different than when Yoshi picks up a hat. Beyond that, we don't know if the hats in Super Mario 64 DS are actually real, because technically they only exist inside of the paintings, and to my knowledge you can't find them in the castle. They are only in the magical worlds that you're transported to. Because in the castle you don't need to swap out the hat with Yoshi because you can just swap the character out once you unlock them. So given these two things, the voice changing not being consistent, the hats only being used in specialized areas, from a lore perspective, it's pointing at two different things. But I know you're probably thinking, but Swanky, you literally said Bowsette was canon. How does this explanation actually change things? Well, it actually doesn't give us an answer at all, but it rules out a possibility. But naturally, thinking about Super Mario 64 DS, I eventually migrated over to Super Mario Odyssey because I was thinking about character transformations. And that's when I realized how simple of an answer all this really is. So consider this. At the beginning of Super Mario Odyssey, obviously Mario's hat is torn to shreds, and he plummets down into the Hat Kingdom. That's when he encounters Cappy, and Cappy has the ability to restore Mario's hat, and then eventually becomes his partner on his journey. And from that point forward, Mario is basically the most powerful he's ever been because he has the ability to capture and take control over anything he wants, anyone he wants. And that's precisely why Bowsette is entirely possible. Let's flip up the situation a bit. So let's take the hat from Mario and let's give it to Bowser, because the encounter at the beginning of the game, that was sort of pure coincidence. They were just at the same place at the same time and trying to work towards a similar goal. However, there's tons of different hats besides just Cappy. The Bonnetiers, the residents of the Hat Kingdom. They all have very similar abilities to Cappy. They can possess anything they want, and they can partner with anyone to also grant them that ability. And this is why things are really interesting because Bowser technically already had this power with the Sister Tiara. Technically, anyone could partner with one of these hats and do the same thing that Mario did. So now let's kind of segue to the end of the game a bit. If you haven't played it, I'm going to be spoiling some stuff, so just a heads up. But at the end of the game, Mario actually captures Bowser and uses his strength to escape. So we know that other creatures and other main characters can be captured by Cappy. If they're in a weakened state or they're defeated, Mario can kind of just waltz in and take over whoever he wants. And this is incredibly important because when Bowser is captured, he takes on the traits of Mario. He gets the mustache, obviously he has the hat. He transforms his appearance to reflect who captured him. Now, let's take the situation and let's give Bowser that cappy. Let's give Bowser one of those Bonnetiers with the ability to capture someone. And he tosses that hat at Peach. Now, the same thing's probably going to happen. Bowser will possess Peach if she's in a weakened state, and probably what will happen is Bowser's traits, his physical traits, or something about him is going to be reflected on Peach. Whether that be the Bowser shell, whether that be horns, it could be a multitude of things. Now, of course, this is a hypothetical situation. However, given the lore in the games, what we are told, everything is in place for Bowser, or really any other character to utilize these same abilities. So Bowsette, this transformation, this combination of Bowser and Peach, is entirely possible. It can be canon because the pieces are in play. The world of Super Mario Odyssey, everything that took place there, doesn't disappear from the Mario timeline. It's there, and everything that was in the game basically is added to the canon and the universe of Mario. And given this, that means Bowsette can be a reality. Now, it may not have been through the original crown, the super crown that kind of sparked this artwork and the memes, but the idea, the concept of Bowsette can exist given what we are told in Mario games. And technically, any of these other combinations, the Waluigiette, the Chain Chompette, all these different princesses that people have been drawing, technically can exist because those same characters can use the same methodology to do the same capturing that Mario does, and their traits would carry over to the princess. So obviously that's a lot to dump. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Either way is fine. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. So please contribute to the discussion down below. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this second take on this Bowsette situation. The day after I made that video, I just had like a light bulb go off my head and I was like, oh my gosh, it can be real. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.